Thank you, Vibhor. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So, a very welcome to this session on process mining. I will start sharing my screen. Okay. Okay, I am Mahesh Kumar, Technical Account Manager with UiPath. I am working I'm with UiPath since more than 5 years, and I have my colleague Shreyas with me today. So we both will be presenting you. Uh, we will start with introduction on process mining, and then we'll jump to some demos. Okay. Before we start, I would like you to scan this Slido QR code. So here you can post your questions. In fact, in today's session, you can unmute yourself and you can ask those questions. But in case you want to just type some questions, you can do that as well. And at the end of this session, we will launch a quiz, and that will also get launched through Slido. So I'll pause here for a minute for you to scan this QR code.
And I will just add one more thing. I know there were a few winners from the previous session who are still waiting for the voucher code or SAG voucher, which I will send probably and by next week.
Yeah, and the winners of this quiz also will get the vouchers, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so hope you have scanned this one. If not, then we will post a link also in the Zoom chat. You can scan it from there. Okay, so as Vibhor mentioned, this is the last session of this series on infra from UiPath TAM India team. But having said that, this is not really a last session from UiPath TAM India. We are planning to start off with a new series or maybe a second season of the same infra series. Stay tuned with us for the new series. Okay, agenda for today's session is going to, we will start with the introduction. As we understand, most of you haven't used process mining. So we'll start from there, that what is process mining. We'll cover it with some examples. Then we'll jump to the deployment options available for process mining, and followed by the system architecture of process mining. After that, we'll show you a demo that how you can install process mining on your on-premises systems, and followed by how you can start off with the process mining once it's installed on your systems, how you will start off with process mining, and followed by Q&A. Okay, so what is process mining? Process mining is a tool which works directly by connecting with your source database. So your source database can be SAP or Oracle or Salesforce. So what it does is connects with with these data sources, takes data from these systems, and after that, what it does, it generates end-to-end process graphs or visualizations, and it shows that where your process has bottlenecks, deviations, or inefficiencies. So with that process graph or other dashboards, you can easily understand that what to automate, what to improve, and how to approach it. Okay. Just to explain you with the example, let's take invoice processing as an example. So in real life, we think that invoice process goes through these 5 steps. Like we receive the invoice from the vendor, then we put that invoice in one of our systems, and that system processes the invoice. Then that system, or we manually perform some checks, like we check some details like the receiver name, address, or maybe amount, and all those things we verify. After that, we send it for approval, and at the end we pay for the invoice. We think that that is the actual process. Hope it could be that simple, but when we feed the actual data to process mining, what it generates is it generates the graph which we see on the right side. It shows us that there are many hidden steps in between our actual happy paths. So these are the steps which process mining shows us, and that's where process mining helps the organization to identify first inefficiencies, how it helps us with the inefficiencies. Maybe there are some hidden steps which are not really required, but we are still our invoice still goes to those steps, and it takes some time there. So we can remove those steps, and we can remove those inefficiencies. The second is automation opportunities. So with process mining graph, we will also see that the volume by the volume of the invoice processes which went through any path. So it takes maybe it shows through this path X number of invoices went through. Likewise, it shows that how many processes went through these paths. That's where we can see repetitive tasks, and we can consider them for their for our automation opportunities. Next is it helps us to improve any opportunities. Like if we find out some steps are really taking a longer time, or there are some issues with the steps, we can think of improving them with whatever, after making some changes in the process in the application or something like that. So it helps us with the improvement opportunities as well. Last but not the least, it also helps to identify if there are any risks. If I give an example, maybe there are some particular conditions on that the invoice is not going through the approval process. So these kind of steps are getting skipped. So that can be a risk for our process. So with the help of this graph, we can easily identify those risks as well. Okay, so there are some challenges with the processes we have as of today. What are those challenges? We'll talk about them and how we can overcome those challenges with process mining. So first challenge is we know just an overview of our processes. We know that, okay, invoice process goes through this just 5 steps. We never feel the need of going in more depth of the process. As a result, we don't see much automation opportunities, and our systems remain inefficient. But with process mining, what it does is it uncovers those hidden steps. Like we saw in the previous slide, it shows us those hidden steps, and with those hidden steps, we can say, okay, it gives access to all the paths our process go through, and we can easily identify our automation candidates and everything, and if we need to improve something in our system. The second challenge we see is you may already have a feeling that some of your processes are inefficient, but you don't have any data to back that up. With your gut feeling, you might automate some of those processes, and your automation may be sometimes give you good results, but with going with gut feeling can sometimes also result in greater inefficiencies. With process mining, because process mining takes data from your ERP and CRM systems, then generates these graphs. That means we have these facts and figures from the system, and we can map our gut feeling with these real data, facts and figures, and then we can say, okay, this is really the automation candidate, and these are the processes we cannot automate. Okay. Next challenge we see as of today is we have some processes like end-to-end procurement, sales processes. They often go across multiple systems, different departments. And as a result, we see that, okay, these are really complex systems. If a system is complex, we don't think of automating them, and for a longer period of time, they remain inefficient. With process mining, because this graph shows each and every path, each and every step, we can easily convert those complexities into automation opportunities. And like this way, our process become more approachable. The next challenge is as a process owner, we always want to make sure that our automation has positive impact on process outcomes and KPIs. But as we don't have any system which can show us end-to-end updated process, so as a result, we don't validate the outcome of our automation. But with process mining, what we get is that process mining is not a one-time task. So once we let's say we identify an automation candidate, what we do is we automate that, and after automating that, we put that in our system. After that, we take data from our systems again after making those changes related to automation or any improvements we have done. We put that data back to process mining. Process mining generates the fresh graph, and then we can compare it with older graph and the new graph. We can compare both those graphs. We have that option available in process mining to compare the graphs. And after comparing the graphs, we can see, okay, what we have achieved from the automation, and then we can map if that aligns with our business goals. And then we again can see if there are more inefficiencies, bottlenecks, or any deviations. And we can, with that, we can again think of more improvements or automations. Okay. Now, you might already be aware that hyper automation goes through these four major phases. Those are discovery, build, manage, and engage. Process mining falls under this discovery phase. In the same phase, we have three more products: task mining, task capture, and automation hub. Now, what is task mining? Task mining is a tool which captures what we do on day-on-day basis. So whatever we are task steps we are performing on our desktops every day, it captures those steps. It after that data is being sent to AI/ML packages, and those packages identify repetitive tasks on the processes which we perform every day. The next one is task capture. What is task capture? It's a client application, task capture, and mainly being used to document the steps which an SME is performing. So task capture comes into picture when we have already identified our automation candidate and the application which we are going to automate. So whenever an SME working on those applications, we can enable task capture application. It will document all those steps, and we don't need to spend much time on documenting the PDDs and for that process. The next product is Automation Hub. Automation Hub is a centralized portal used across the organization for submitting automation ideas. For automation COE team, it is used as an automation pipeline management and process repository tool. Now, we have heard this question from a lot of our customers and from users, that what is the basic difference between process mining and task mining? So to make you clear about these two products, process mining, let's take this example of order to cash. In order to cash process, what actually happens is when a customer places the order, it first goes to sales team. Then sales team may reach out to the inventory team to check if the product is available. After checking that availability, sales team will reach out to finance to generate the invoice or perform anything related to finance department, any steps related to them. Then finally, after everything is done at our end, the product is being handed over to courier partner for the delivery. And once it is delivered or in between, the vendor makes the payment, finance team updates it at their end, and that's how the process gets complete. So in this process, if we see there are many teams involved, there are many departments involved, and there are many systems involved. So that's where process mining comes into picture. That these systems, when any process goes through these steps, we make some entries in our systems. So we take this backend data from these systems and give this to process mining. Process mining generates graph from all the from the data we received from all these systems. Now, where task mining comes into picture. So, like process mining works when there are multiple departments, even there are vendors also. But in case of task mining works for one department mainly. Like if we take the same example, maybe finance team. So finance team may have 10 members working to create POs for different orders. So what we do is we install this task mining client on these users' machine, and we see that what actions they perform on SAP application to create the PO. Like they open the application, then they log into the application, they search for the client or for the vendor, then they put the PO details, they search for invoice number, they make some changes, they add some data, and after that they click submit. So these are the steps, like click, input data. These are the steps being captured by task mining client and being sent to task mining uh, task mining web app, where AI and ML model generates the uh, uh, run on this data and generates the graph. So process mining, where multiple departments are involved, multiple systems are involved. Task mining is within the same department, but different users performing the tasks on the UI. Process mining works on the backend data. Hope this clears your doubt about process mining and task mining. I'll take a pause here for a minute if you have any questions.
Hey, this is Sitaraman here. I have a question.
Yes, Itar.
So let's say if a company go for a purchase for the discovery phase of products in UiPath, so do you recommend them to only go for task mining or go for task mining and process mining, or like how it is? Like what I have understood so far from whatever you have explained is from task mining, the input goes to process mining and it gives more insights about whether it could be automated or not, or partially automated. That kind of output is what we could expect from process mining, is what could see it. So how it is, or is it like only task mining is enough for them? Or what is the prerequisite that you expect from a customer to select these products?
Yes, Sitaraman. So that's really a good question. So for initial phase, if you don't understand your process, how it goes through different teams, different departments, you first have to go with the process mining. You have to understand your process through which phases your process goes. Then in that one, using process mining will show you the actual data, like maybe finance team is spending 10 days for one invoice, right? Or another team, procurement team, is taking 15 days on that. Then you will go to those teams, and if we don't talk about these systems, what you will do, you will go to these teams and you will try to understand what you are doing, why are you taking that much time. They may not know. In that case, task mining comes into picture. What you will do, you will install task mining on that team's system, on every member system, and you will capture their data, that what they are doing in their system. When an invoice receives to a finance team, or this request goes to finance team, from there what steps they perform in detail, like they open the SAP application, they may be working on 10 applications together. So that's where task mining starts capturing those details from those user machines, and then the analysis will be done that, okay, these all the users of this department, these are following these steps, and most of these steps are manual or repetitive. That's where we can identify, okay, this is our automation area, or this is our area of improvement. So first, to understand the process, we'll go with process mining. Then we'll identify this is the department where we need to install task mining client. We will install task mining client for them, and from where we'll find out that this is what we can automate.
So process mining, in a sense, it is going to integrate with the different tools, and task mining is going to integrate with that particular machine those people are working in. So once you have an idea about your process, then you install task mining and get more operational insights, as it says. I think that really
yes, exactly. Process mining integrates with your SAP and all those systems and takes data from their backend.
Got it. That really helps. Thank you.
Mahesh, one more follow-up question on that one. So
Yes,
basically, this task mining is we used only for the research and the discovery purpose, or we can use it even in the live situation. We can analyze and take actions based on the task performed.
So
Can I
Ramesh,
feed the task mining result to one of the bot and say, hey, this happened, like SAP has been opened, and now do something else too along with that? Can we do that kind of parallel stuff?
Okay, so you, if I understood correctly, are saying that you want to feed task mining data to the board as an input?
Yeah. Is it possible? Like, I'm just wondering. Or is it just like we get the results and we get the insights and do the analysis and then put it into the action later?
Okay, that's not available out of the box, Ramesh, but in your condition, what I can tell you is, and then maybe we can think if that is possible. Task mining client, what it does, it takes screenshot of whenever you click somewhere. It takes a screenshot of that.
Oh,
When
it's
you
just a
start
screenshot.
typing,
Okay.
yeah, it takes that screenshot. So that's what it, any action you are performing on your machine, task mining client takes the screenshot of that. And after some particular time interval, it sends those screenshot to the task mining web app for analysis.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
you answered. Thank you.
Welcome.
And just one point to add there, Mahesh, like in terms of your second part of the question, let's say if your project has gone live and your bot has collected a data or created a data set, you can very well feed that back to the process mining, link it to a project, and you can generate another dashboard that will probably show you a comparison of how your data looked like before you started an automation, and then kind of review it against after you have completed your automation. So as Mahesh mentioned, process mining is like a continuous improvement process, and it keeps giving you insight to kind of further validate your data and identify areas of opportunities, bottlenecks, and then also see how much benefit the automation can bring in and has brought in.
Yep. Thanks, Suresh, for adding that.
Hey, Shreyas, this is Kiran.
Yes, Kiran, please go ahead.
Yeah, adding to that question, right? See, invoicing, you're saying that it will pick the data from the database and give the graph, right? But typically in the invoicing, you see the sequential, data is there. But what is the exact insights it will give?
So I'm not sure if I understood correctly, but when you say invoicing is a sequential process, not an idle in every scenario, Kiran. So maybe if we have a very simple process where we don't have many of the conditions, it will go sequential. But in scenarios, if we take, let's say, insurance claims, right? If it is simple, then it could get processed in a day or so, but it never happens. It happens in months, right? Because there are so many conditions being checked in between, and we don't know those hidden processes. So process mining comes into picture when you have those hidden steps in your process. It's not that straightforward for you, and you really want to go in depth of your process. So when your invoice is not being processed just by one team or one department, or maybe one organization also, in that case, process mining comes into picture. It takes data from all these sources where through which this invoice flows. It takes data from there, and then it generates a graph. Okay, these are the steps it has taken.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe you will when we'll show you in after installation, you will get more idea about it, how it works. The graph will show you.
One more
Thank you.
question, Mahesh, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Ramesh, please.
So say, for example, I have a Salesforce activities happening on that desktop, right? So within that, they are doing like a lot of steps, like probably opening the incoming request, and they're processing the documentations. All that stuff is happening. I don't think we can apply the process mining in this case, right? That's more of a task mining. I can collect what are they're doing because you're taking the snapshot of what exactly is happening. So only the task mining can be applied, not the process mining, right? I just want to make sure that, or can we apply the process mining also for this activities happening with all the sales? I want to capture what is happening in the Salesforce activity, and that's what I need to get the report on.
Yep, Ramesh. So you are absolutely correct there, because what we are doing is we are capturing what a user is doing in the UI, and we have already identified, okay, SAP is the system where we really want to do the analysis. In that case, we know our system, we know our users, then we'll go with task mining.
Got it.
Hey Mahesh, hi, this is Ismail.
Hey, Ismail.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So I have one question about these insights. You are mentioning that process mining is giving the strategic insights and the task mining is giving the operational insights. So
Yep.
as far as I understood by this discussion, sorry, this is the first session for me on the process mining, but I have a couple of questions on that. So task mining is going to discover the bot, whether we need to automate or not, right? So where actually exactly we are applying this process mining on maybe on COE and automation hub, that part I did not understand. So what are the value we are getting? So I understood that with the task mining, we are going to know that in any COE, okay, this process is going to automate or not, that is going to giving by the decision by the task mining. But with the process mining, what are the value we are getting and what is the decision we are going to take on our center of excellence or maybe some kind of thing?
Okay. So you are clear about task mining, right? Where we will use it. But
Yeah.
As I gave an example of order to cash, where we are receiving the order, then it goes to from sales, it goes to procurement team, then from there it goes to finance team, then it goes to the delivery partner. Now we have these teams have their own systems, right? And
Correct.
one process may take, let's say, if maybe it is taking 1 month. Now likewise, we are getting a number of invoices every day, we are processing them. These systems are completely different. We don't understand how they function, how much time which function is taking, why it is taking 1 month. So what we do is we take data from all these systems, we'll put this data in process mining. Process mining will generate a graph. It will show, okay, you received the invoice on this day, then it went to this team, or it will show exactly the steps. Like it went to this step. If I come back to that one, give me a minute. Yeah. So we received the invoice, and then okay, it's not the right flow for that example. So what we do there is, just a minute, sorry, let me come back to that slide. Okay, we give this data to process mining, and then process mining, what it does is it understand, okay, there is one ID, maybe we can say one request, let's say some request ID gets created when we get the request, right? Order number or something. There's one unique ID, order number, but there were 10 events with that. Now event 2 took time this time, but for second one, some another step took time. Then from there we can understand, okay, maybe this team is spending more time to process the invoice, or this is where this is the path which is being most followed by our process. Like maybe there can be 10 steps or hidden which we don't even know as of today. So with that graph, we can see, okay, these are the steps our process go through. This is the path our process go through. And then we can identify, okay, this is the system which is taking time. From there, we can understand if that system is an automation candidate. Let's say finance team is taking time. I'm sorry if someone from finance, I'm taking this name again and again. If finance team is taking time, what we will do, so from there we will understand which team is taking time, okay, from process mining. So there, then we'll say, okay, we need to perform this task mining for finance team. We need to understand what finance team is actually doing. So process mining gives us this idea, okay, this is the team, this is the department where it is taking time, or this is the path which is taken, which is being followed by our invoice every time. Then in that case, maybe we can say, okay, this is repetitive tasks, we can automate that. So process mining can give us that system where we need to implement task mining, and then we find out the automation candidate, or it can directly give us our automation candidate. If we see the path being traversed most, and we already know, okay, this is where we can automate.
Okay, got it. So it is giving more insights about the processes on the COA level. It means, so we need to have both the process mining and task mining in order to give better processes, maybe I can say, or the maybe better approaches on the automations, right? So these two are like a bundle, so which will give more value to our businesses.
Correct. So as a business user, as a COE team, you might be reaching out to one department at a time, right?
Right.
Process mining will give you an overview of all the departments, what they're doing.
Correct. Loading all the business units into the process mining, right? So then only it is going to understand, okay, which are all the departments are available in the COE, right?
Correct.
Okay, got you. Thank you, Mahesh.
Welcome. Okay, so I think let's start. Let's go with the next topic. Okay, now as we have understood that what process mining actually is, you might think how we can deploy it. What are the options we have as of today? So there are two options currently we have. We are coming up with the third option soon. The two options available today is UiPath Automation Cloud. That is a SaaS version, and you are already aware that in SaaS version you don't need to procure your infra. You just need to create your account on your automation cloud if you don't have, procure the license for task mining and start using it. You don't need to worry about procuring the infra, then deploying or anything like that. You just need to start using it. With on-premises, what you have to do is you have to set up your own infra, but that will be your on-premises. Like it won't be publicly available. So in that case, you have to procure your own infra, and that's where you will install the process mining and you can start using it internally. Okay, these are the two options we have currently. Now, let's understand, before we jump to the demo, installation demo, let's understand system architecture a bit, how process mining architecture looks like. So process mining in a nutshell has two major components. One is process mining platform, that is a web app. So we put this web app or install it on web server. On top of this web app, we upload these apps and discovery accelerators. What they do is they take our data. They just give me a minute, please. So these discovery accelerators. These discovery accelerators take data from what we upload, then they transform this data and show us in the dashboards. So we have out of the box available apps and discovery accelerators. To name a few is template one, purchase to pay, order to cash. And with these accelerators or apps, you can start analyzing your processes immediately without having to create a new app from scratch. So the apps are available, you upload the data, the apps will take the data, will do the transformation, and will show you the dashboards. Okay. Next one is okay, so these apps are being stored in the Git repository. We can have a local repository also in case you don't have Git available as of today. I'm sorry. Okay, and then we have this nice technique of Tracy. So Tracy is a technique. What it does is it defines the layout of process graph. So what we saw in our earlier, where it shows the hidden steps and all, that is a process graph. So that process graph is defined by Tracy. Tracy takes this data and what it does, it generates a graph which is like we will draw manually also if we are being asked to draw a graph of a process. So that's what Tracy does. Next component is in-memory database. So in-memory database stores all the data for fast access by process mining algorithms. So if we have a data stored in-memory, it will be quickly available and accessible for all the algorithms. And then data sources. So the process mining can take data from different sources. It can take data from your SAP, Salesforce, and Oracle, these systems. We need to use connectors there. Connector will pull this data from these databases. We can also upload data in forms of text files, CSV files, or Excel files. Then there's one functionality available is that it supports processing data with external tools. So if you have any external tool developed with Python or R script, you can integrate those tools with with process mining. The process mining will send data to these tools, and the process data from these tools will be taken as input by process mining. Okay, let's move to next one. So next is the installation demo. For that, I would hand it over to my colleague Shresh. Shresh, over to you.
Hey,
Stop sharing.
yeah.
Okay, I think someone raised hand.
Yeah, we have a question from Abhishek.
Here. Yeah. So when you're saying we are getting data from multiple sources, so is it? I have actually very less information regarding this process mining, but are you relating it to the event logs or something?
Right. So there are different apps and accelerators which need which can understand different types of data. But template one is a generic app which takes data in the form of we can say cases and events. Or if we relate it to orders, then every order will have event IDs. So we can have this data in tabular form and in CSV or in Excel files or text files.
Okay, so does it need to be in certain template?
Few of the fields are mandatory, like case ID, but that doesn't mean that your Excel need to have that column name case ID itself. You can have any name, but in process mining, as a developer, what you have to do is you have to do that mapping. We can maybe during the demo we can show you how to do that mapping. So every field we can map, but there are few fields, 3 to 4 fields, which are mandatory, and we need to have columns corresponding to those fields.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, Magesh, in that diagram that you have shown in the architecture, you said in the first layer, I think you showed us some apps, right? Yeah, thank you. So, and in the second layer, I think, yeah, end user and developer. So here developer means the UiPath developer you're saying, or?
No, so we'll talk about these roles in detail, Sitaraman, but
okay.
For now I can say developer is someone, so you can develop your own apps and upload on process mining. Or if you want to use existing app and you want to make some modifications on the dashboard side, or someone now asked, right, how we do the mapping. So that mapping, or if you want to customize anything there, so process mining developers.
It seems, yeah, that's fair. We can look into it later. But this apps and discovery accelerator, it seems to be, it's, we have some set of apps and discovery accelerators already. And the tool is ready to accommodate new apps and discovery accelerators as well. Is that what that means, that architecture means?
That's correct.
So there must be a repository of apps and discovery accelerators, right? Already.
Yes, yes. So as of now, we have these 3 accelerators already available. Template 1, order to cash, and purchase to pay, P2P and O2C.
Yeah. So what order to cash and purchase to pay do is like they cater to a very specific process flow, whereas the template one or app one, previously known as app one, like it caters to a more customizable flow. And we'll look at that example also when we look at the uses of process mining and the installation part.
Sure.
Okay. So Mahesh, shall I take over from here then?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. So hello everyone, I welcome you all again. Hope everyone is doing great. Thanks Mahesh for that wonderful walkthrough of process mining introduction. It's a new tool and good to see the interest from all the folks. So now that we have some understanding of what process mining actually does and what is the system architecture for process mining, we'll try to proceed with how can we go about installing process mining. So the example that we're going to talk about here is process mining on-prem IaaS type of installation, because if you're going for a cloud version, you don't have to install anything. You can directly procure the license and you can start consuming the SaaS cloud UiPath URL where you'll get the process mining version. But let's say if you are tasked with installing the process mining on-prem in your organization, then this next part can come in handy. So in order to install a process mining, what you will need is first you will need a Windows server, and we'll go through the prerequisites also shortly. But what I've done is, for the sake of this demo, I have already downloaded the prerequisite components, and I have kept it in my downloads folder, as you can see here. So there are two aspects to this. So if I show you when you procure the license for process mining, you will get a downloadable link, and it will contain two parts. One will be the build path, and the next will be the template one path, or whatever model that you choose for, right? Out of box, you will get one zip file that will contain the accelerators with MV tag extension. So you can download both of them from download.uipath.com. And once they are downloaded, it will look something like this. So the build will come as a zipped file, and you will also get the corresponding MV tag file. So the MV tag zip that you will get, it will contain both MVP as well as MV tag. And we will see shortly what these extension means and how to consume these files. So as a first step, what we will do is to begin with installation. Let's assume that we are starting with a scratch kind of a setup, like it's a blank slate server. We will go ahead and we'll create one directory. So I have created a path called as C. Inside C, I've created TAM India, and here is where I want to do my installation of the build. So I will create a folder inside TAM India, which is called builds. And one thing to note here is this folder has this folder name is case sensitive. So this is to be created in exact same convention. It should say builds in lowercase. And once I unzip the build that I have downloaded, I can copy this build directly into this folder. So it may take a couple of minutes to copy that. While it is doing that, I will quickly walk you through the prerequisites for the setup. So the web server needs to be a Windows server, which is 2012 or above. Currently, we're supporting 2012, 2016, and 2019. Browsers supported are Google Chrome, Edge, and Firefox. We need to install IIS on the web server. So IIS version should be 8 or above. So for the folks who are not aware, like you can go to the server manager. If you go to add roles and features, you can go to server roles and you can select the web server component. I've already installed it here, but this way you can easily install the IIS on your web server. And the next two components, IIS module, URL rewrite, and IIS node, these two are packaged as part of the build itself. So whatever unzipped version we are copying, that will contain a subfolder called installs, and that will contain the these two installables, which we can install later. So I'll show you that one as well. There are some recommendations given in terms of what the specifications of or server configuration needs to be. So depending on the type of project that you are trying to upload, if you think it's a very small project with small data set considerations, you can go with a 4 GB machine for a 4-core CPU machine with 32 GB RAM. Then we have a medium large scale machine. And if it's a very heavy load project, then you can go for a 48-core machine, and it may require a lot of storage. So it can kind of handle up to 6,000 gigabits of data. Remaining things are like kind of quite self-explanatory. So what are the recommended screen resolutions and what are the browsers supported? You can go through and read through this in detail. So these are some of the basic prerequisites. Almost.
Shreyas, can you copy that link and paste it?
Sure. Yeah.
Also, Shreyas, how you will get this MSA of the UiPath process mining? So if you want to install this on our on-premises, so how are we getting that? So do we have any specific site to go through and download that, or do we need to request the UiPath team to get that?
Yeah. So because like this is a licensed product, like you'll have to, you or your organization will have to get in touch with the UiPath account team, and they will, once you procure the license for it, as part of the license procurement process, you will get one PDF with installation instructions, links, and it will contain the download link. It will look something like this, download.uipath.com, and depending on whatever version you have chosen, you will get the corresponding reference link using which you can download it.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I have pasted the requirements link in the chat window.
Okay, so now that the unzipped version is copied, of the build is copied, the first step that we will do here is we will go right click and right click on properties, and I'll go to the security tabs. So I will give permissions for IIS user to access this directory path. So in case if you're not able to find this user, make sure that you're selecting the correct location. If you're in a Active Directory location, make sure you select the local machine path correctly here, and you'll find this particular object entity in either groups or users. If IIS is installed correctly, you should be able to find it. So make sure that these are properly selected. You should be able to search for this user, IIS_IUSRS. I'll say OK, and I'll give full permissions for this user to access this directory. Okay, this is done. As a next step, what I will do is I'll go inside this directory. You'll see a subdirectory called as installs. Go inside this, which contains a directory called as activate build. Here, I'll see a bat file which says activate build. I'll just double click on that, and it will extract some more files and some more components. Press any key to continue, and this step is done. As a next step, I will go back to the installation folder again, and I will copy these two specific files, two specific objects. Like one is the database directory and process code.lic license file, and I will put it at the same place where I had created this builds folder. Okay, so the second step is also done. As a next step, as I had mentioned, and as we had seen in the prerequisites link, we need to install IIS node and IIS URL rewrite as the prerequisites, and they come packaged along with the build. So I have already installed these two on my machines, but when you will build it from scratch, you need to run these two installers, and they are like very fairly quick. They get installed fairly quickly. Within a minute, you should be able to install both of these. But this is a mandatory step. So these two components are necessary to run process mining. So with these, like all the file operations that I need to do and generate my virtual directory are completed. As a next step, what I will do is I will go to my IIS. I'll open IIS using inet manager command, and I'll expand the server node. So here you can see there is only like one demo website and default website right now, and there are like no application pools. So I'll go to sites. I will right click and say add website. I'll give it a name. So let's say we call it process mining session. And I want to create a new application pool with the same name. It will ask me to provide a physical path. So what I will do is wherever I had extracted my build, right? See TAM India, I need to go up to builds folder, click OK. And I want to run this on port 8080 because my default website is already using port 80. I'll run it on port 8080. My website is created and I started the website. And I can also see that a corresponding application pool is also created. So basically my website is created with the virtual directory and all the required settings are done. One more thing to take care here is, like, as you can see, the application pool is currently running with application pool identity. Now, in some cases, there are requirements to run this with a particular service account. So if you have to do that, what you can do is you can go to advanced setting, and here you will see an identity section, and you can select a custom account here, and you can provide the service account. So here I want to use the same account with which I have logged in, but if you have any other service account with which you want to run the application, you can do that. I'll specify the credentials, and it's done.
Shreyas, do we need any SSL certificates or self-signed certificates? Is that enough for this?
That is a good question. So right now it is running on port 80. We will come to that part also.
Okay.
Right now I've just configured it as a HTTP website, and I'm trying to just set it up first with HTTP, and I'll show you the step on how we can do it for HTTPS as well.
Sure.
So in the application pools section, as you can see here, there is a section for recycling, and by default, IIS sets this interval to 1740, which equates to roughly 28 or 29 hours, but I don't want it to randomly like recycle the app pool. So I can maybe specify a time where nobody is using it. So let's say 11 p.m. at night, nobody uses the application. I'll give that specific time, and I will set it up that way. This is like purely configurable thing. You can specify it as per your organization needs. Okay, with that, my application is ready. But one last thing to check is if I go to the server node, there is a setting called feature delegation. Here, there will be a rule called as handler mapping. So handler mapping, in my case, it is read and write. But if it is not read and write, you have to ensure that you right click on it and set this as read and write. So you should have read write access for handler mapping. So I can see that my file operations are done. My virtual directory is created. My website is created with HTTP to run on port 8080, and I'm good to browse the website. So what I
Why
will
is
do
that feature delegation part, Shreyas? Sorry to interrupt.
So that is one of the prerequisite, like it uses that IIS feature, like the handler mapping, and it requires read-write access. It is one of the prerequisite recommended by the product. Without that, I think the application will not go through. Some of the requests that are made to the web server, they kind of need that feature to accept the response and accept the request and provide the response. Okay, so with that, my application is ready. I will hit the browse button. Okay, so by default, it is running on port 8080, but I need to specify with which persona or user role I need to access this application. So it expects a query string where it expects page is equal to the role. And this role is also case sensitive. So when the website is first configured, I will want to log in as a super admin, like for example, how we do in Orchestrator, right? So I will log into this application as super admin. Will take a few seconds to load. And as first time login, it will ask, give me a username and password pop-up. So by default, the first user, super admin user that gets created can be accessed with SA as login name and SA as password. And I should be able to get into the environment. It throws me the license error pop-up, which is expected because I have not provided the license key. But my setup is now complete to run on HTTP, and I can access the environment. Okay. Now you can see as soon as I log in, there are various tabs that are available here. So we will talk about that also shortly and also look at that in more detail. But after my installation is complete, I will want to do some configuration so that my setup becomes usable. Before I do that, someone had just asked a question about what if I want to use a more secure way of accessing this website using HTTPS. So in that case, what you can do is you can, after the application is set up, you can go and click on bindings and edit the bindings to change it to HTTPS, or you can add a new binding here. to change to HTTPS to run on, let's say 443, and specify the host name and provide this certificate. So for folks who are not aware on how to generate the certificates, you can go to the server node, and there will be an option to create a self-signed certificate. So you can go here and cert and click OK, and that certificate will be deployed in your personal store, available to be accessed. Similarly, if your organization is providing a CA signed certificate, you can deploy that in your personal store and you can use that as well. So I'll do the step again. I'll go to bindings. I'll click on add. I will specify the host name and I will select the certificate. So I've already created a certificate which is valid for an year, and I'll click OK. So now you can see I can browse this website at localhost, either localhost port 8080 with HTTP or using SSL on port 443 using the machine name. So if I click on this, it will again ask me to specify the role with which I want to log in. However, if I try to log in with the same credentials, SASA, it is telling me it is an incorrect username or password. You're not allowed to log in. So what I will do here is I will go back to my previous tab where I had logged in with SASA for HTTP, and there will be a section here called as super admin users, which come out of the box. So by default, access only comes to the local host URL, which is 127.0.0.1 IP with SA user. If I want to access it with any other name or if with any other ID, I need to add a new super admin user. So let me try to create one entity here. So I'll create one user called as TAM India. And let's say if I want to access it, make it accessible from any kind of IP. So I can specify it with dot star and I'll add the user. Once I've done this, let me try to log in again with the entity that I have just created. So now it is allowing me to access this website using HTTPS also. And as you can see here, the connection is secure with the certificate. Okay. Any questions so far?
Quickly, I just posted the question there as well. This is a server-side product, right? So we have an automation suite now. UiPath is promoting that for all the server-side product. I know there is a license procurement separately for this. So is it something which comes along with your container of automation suite, or how it is? It will be always a separate installation.
Good question. Thanks for that interest. So it's good to know that people are up to speed with this. So currently till 22.4 version, it is not available as part of the suite, but in the upcoming release, which will come next month onwards, 22.10 onwards, we are planning to bring it as part of the suite offering also. But if you ask right now, like the current version which is available, the current latest version that is available, it is available only on either cloud or by installing it on on-prem. But very soon you will get a flavor where you will have an automation suite that encompasses process mining also.
So Shreys, just to think that is any enterprise trial version also available for this?
Currently not. So currently it's a licensed version only that is available. So I think we have a demo environment like with the URL that you can use for like viewing it as an end user and getting to understand the look and feel of process mining. But in terms of installing it and using it for POC or production purposes, it has to be like a licensed version only.
For that, you can reach out to your account executive and you can maybe get an enterprise trial license. but
Okay,
not for the
thanks.
community. For enterprise trial, you can submit a request.
Sure, thanks.
Cool. So now that my setup is complete, I'll try to configure this. I'll do the basic configuration of the setup, and then I'll hand it over back to Mahesh. Mahesh will kind of walk you through what are these different tabs, because it can be a little overwhelming to see all these tabs. So we'll try to give you the significance of each and every tab, what it exactly does. And then we'll also try to show you how to exactly consume this application, how to use process mining effectively, and what are some of the best practices around it. And we'll at the end, we'll also have a quiz with a few questions, and the winner of the quiz gets some goodies. So stay tuned for that. Uh, okay, so now that my setup is ready, first thing that I'll do is I'll come to this release tabs and these three lines that you see, the menu icon. I will, as Mahesh had shown in the architecture diagram, the app or the release that I try to upload, the accelerator, it can be uploaded either through the repository or through the server. So for the sake of this demo, I will upload it from the local server. I'll click on this button, upload it from the server. And okay, so the template1 MV tag file that we had downloaded and extracted, the MV tag file, it automatically detects that extension and allows me to upload that. So once I have uploaded that, that becomes available in the local release section. Now, in order to use this template, I will have to create one project. So the project can be created in the workspace tab. Again, I'll click on the menu and I'll click on new. However, as you can see, it asks for a few input parameters, like I have to specify the repository, what is the base app. So whatever template that I have provided, I can see it here, but there is no repository over here. So I need to first set up some repository using which I can build this application. In order to do that, I'm going to go to the settings tab. And the settings tab is divided into two sections. The left section is where I can specify server settings related to process mining as a platform. And on the right side, I can specify repositories from where process mining can pull the data. So if I click, there is a small help icon link given here, which kind of gives you different parameters that you can specify in the server settings. Each parameter is explained with a description and with like what comes as a default value for that. And if you have to configure it, they've given some examples also. So I'm particularly interested in environments. So the default environment that comes is production. But let's say if I want to use this setup for both production as well as test environments, I will take this example. And I will change the default environment, which came out of box as production, to production and test. And I'll click save. So it helps you with the syntax and everything. And in order to configure repositories, again, I can look at the examples. So it expects repositories from different sources. I can specify a centralized LAN storage or a file system storage, or I can use it, upload the repositories from like the files from my local server repository. So my local.upstream.git is the local machine, or I can point to the JIT repository for uploading the project files. So I'm going to go with the local upload option here. And it expects it to be in JSON format. So I'll just save this. Okay, now that my repository is specified, let me see if now it allows me to create a project. So the repository that I gave is now detected here. I'll select the base application and I'll give a name to my application. I'll call it Hello World. Okay, so now that you can see my application is created with a default project template. However, I see a small warning message because the template that I downloaded was for version 21.10, but the build of process mining that I installed is 21.10.2. So what I can do is I can just go here and I can say apply this template to the new build, the build that I'm using. So I'll just change it to 21.10.2 and that error will go away. Since I made a small change to the project setting, I should commit this project. So there is something called as a commit section. Whenever any developer or anybody makes any changes to the application, they should be committing the changes so that it becomes available for everybody. and it will get pushed to the server. Okay, so I have committed this change. Now, in order to view this project, now project is ready, but it doesn't have any data like that I want to analyze. So it will come with default out-of-box dashboards and charts and a layout. But until I have any meaningful data, it will not add much value. So how to upload the data? I will go to the development data section, and again, I'll go to the menu and there is an option to upload data set. So I will, I think this invoice data example also comes out of the box, but in a real life scenario, you will have your own data set. It expects either Excel files, flat files, or zip files. So I have a zip file here. You can also have certain connectors, which probably Mahesh will show you in more detail when we look at the usage example. But for now, just to build some data, I'll upload the out of the box zip file, that invoice data zip file that is coming up here. I'll say OK. So now my project is ready, and it also has like a data tied to it. Like I've uploaded the data to the platform. So now when I try to open the app, I can select what data set I want to use. So this data set now becomes available for me to view. And I want to view this as a super admin. But as a super admin, I'm interested to know, let's say if a developer persona is trying to open this application, how will the application look? And there are other personas also. We'll explain that in detail, but there are personas like developer with read-only access, or the end user who is going to consume the dashboards and charts or the process graphs. So just that I have done all these configuration changes, I want to test if a developer views this project, since I have consumed this data, how will it look? I will select developer and I'll say open. So once I do that, it may take a few seconds, but it should bind that data and it should generate some out of the box dashboards for you, which can visualize. Okay, it is not allowing me to visualize it because I have not applied the license key. So please allow me a minute. I'll just apply the license key. And in order to do that, the steps are same. How we do it in Orchestrator. You need to go to the license tab, click on the update button. It gives an option to use a license code. Specify the license code. You can either do it if you have an active internet connection, you can upload it directly, or you can do the same step like we do it for air gap scenario on Orchestrator. So I'll just pause sharing for a second and I'll quickly apply the license key.
Hi, Shreyas. So meanwhile, can I ask one question?
Yeah, definitely. Please go ahead.
So after while you are creating that, you have selected one option called the commit. So that
Yeah.
commit is the same as the Git commit. It means like multiple people are working when we do the commits kind of thing, or this is a different architecture. Because when I see that commit, I got one doubt like that. What if two persons are working on the same application, and if you do the commit and he do the commit, how the refreshing will happen on that application?
Yeah, very good question. So let's say you have multiple admins or multiple developers working on your project. Like there are chances that different people may be doing different things, right, on your platform. So that if you want that changes to be made available to everybody, you need to commit that. Only when that changes are committed, then those like whoever will open that project next, or you give that URL to, let's say, end user, that changes will be reflected. So it is to ensure that when there are concurrent usage going on, those changes are committed, and only when they're committed, they're pushed to the server, and then they become available to, like, let's say, different personas of developers or end users using it. The concept is same, but it is maintained at like an application level within the application itself. Okay, so I've applied the license key now. Let me try to open the application again. Okay, so since I've opened it as a developer, if I'm opening the application as a developer, I'll get a different layout. I'll get like more control panes and more options to make changes and kind of build the dashboards or charts or KPIs of my liking and then publish it for the end users to use it. Versus if I open the same application as a end user, I will probably get a different layout. I'll get only a read-only kind of layout, and it will be more aimed at performing the analysis of the data rather than making changes to the dashboard or viewing the charts. So as a super admin, I've set up the platform, I've configured everything, I've installed, I've configured everything, and created a project. I've applied data to it, and I've just verified that my setup is usable by both personas. Like developers can develop different dashboards or process graphs on it, and even end users can consume it. So with that, I will hand it over back to Mahesh, who can explain you in more details what different sections of process mining are, and then how these two different personas, the developers and the end users, will consume process mining for their respective needs. So with that, I'll stop sharing, Mahesh. I'll hand it over back to you.
Thank you, Suresh. So before we start that section, if you have any queries or questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, that means you have no questions. Okay, so I'm using the same VM which Suresh was using. It's the same setup. Now, first, let's talk about these tabs. What are these tabs? What are they being used for? So first one is the workspaces. You might have already understood that workspaces is like a playground for the developer. The developer will upload the existing apps provided by UiPath, or they have developed by themselves. They will upload these apps here. They can upload them as releases, or they can directly upload here also. So if you have a MVP file, you can upload them directly here as well. Okay, so you should see the option. Okay, upload file. So you can directly upload this MVP file from here as well. Now, once this is this app is uploaded, you can go from here and you can launch it as a developer, and you can start editing your app as per you can start modifying it as per your requirements. We'll come to that point later. Now, next tab is about development data. So any data set, input data set or output data set you want to put, you can upload the data set here. Like Suresh uploaded this invoice data. Next one is releases. So we'll come to this one. Maybe we'll show you how this works is. So when we make any changes or when we develop a new app, what we do is we release it finally. We create a release for end users to consume it. We'll show you how to do that. Okay. Release data is we have a release of apps or accelerators. Now we need to map that release with the data set. So that's where we use this release data tab. We generate this cache from our app with the data set we have uploaded. We'll show you that as well. In builds, we see here we are using this is process mining build 21.10.2 version. In case you want to use another version like for this release, the version expected was 21.10.0. So in case you want to upload that one, you just need to go here, get the release and upload it, build and upload it. That's it. So it's just that easy to upgrade process mining that you just need to upload a build and start using it. This tab is mainly for the developers. So here what we Shesh has used is a zip file, which is a data set. But in case you want to upload the Excel file or CSV file, you can upload them here. And once you have uploaded it here and you launch this one as a developer, you will see an option to consume this data. We'll come to that point as well. Next section is settings, as Shreyas has mostly covered this one. So server settings is about setting up the environments, setting up the email settings and all those things. And there are many more options available here. You can go to this help section and find them out. Repositories he has already covered. Super admin users also he has covered that you can create super admin users from here. Okay. Status is kind of audit logs, which shows that who has logged into the application. Okay. License tab shows the licenses. Okay. Now let's come back here. So this is about the tabs. Now let's see how a developer will use and how will make it accessible to end user. As of now, this what we have uploaded here, this is just for the developer because it's still in the workspace. It may be committed, but it's not released for the end user. So how we will how a developer will make this available to end users. So what I'll do is I'll launch it as a developer. Okay. It will take a while to get launched. Okay. Let's remove this filter from here. So as a developer, I have these options available. And as I was talking about that, you can upload data in the server data and you can use it. How is that possible is you need to go to the data tab. You need to select these tables, cases or events. Okay. So let's say cases. So here we have an option where we can we can specify the connection string. You can click on this help icon again, and you can see we can use different files. Let's say you want to use an Excel file. You need to specify this. So what we are specifying here is this is the file name. In the file name, we are specifying where we will upload our data. So if we are, let's say, creating a folder here, maybe I'll say data folder itself. And under this folder, I will upload my Excel file. So this is what we are specifying here. Data is my folder name, and this is my file name. Okay. Okay. Likewise, we can go for events. If we right click on cases table, go to advanced and options, we have an option table scope. Here we specify where we will upload our data. It can be none means we will not be using the data from this one, but we will be using a data set directly. If we are specifying server, in that case, we are saying that we will be uploading data under server data. If we are selecting workspace, in that case, we are specifying that the data will be uploaded under workspace tab. Okay. We can keep it anything as of now because we are using the data set and we haven't applied any connection string here. That means it's not expecting any data from any of those tabs, but just from the data set. Now that's how you can upload the data. Then you can customize the dashboards also. Like you can come here, click on these dashboards, customize them. You want to add maybe new chart, HTML or process graph or anything, you can do that from here. We are this is again a huge topic of how to customize the dashboards, how to create new dashboards and everything. We might cover this in maybe in our next sessions on process mining. For now, we are just showing you, okay, these are the options available. Okay. And this is what a developer can do. They can create their own dashboard. They can edit the existing dashboard. They can change the data sources and everything. Okay. After making the changes, the developer can commit the changes from here. So you need to click on this icon, UiPath Process Mining icon. In fact, you can change this icon also. Okay, you can put your own logo there. You need to click on that and you see the option to commit. Okay, or you can do the commit from here as well. As we haven't changed anything, it doesn't show any changes. But if we make any changes here, this will start reflecting it. Okay, so as a developer, you change it, commit it. Once you have committed, what's next thing you will do is you will create a release. So what you will do in that case is you will go here, click on this one, create release. So I can give any name to this one. Let's say I will say com demo. Okay. So after that, we can see that it has come under releases tab. What we need to do next is we need to activate this build on one of the environments. So for now, I'll take production, but in real life, we go with test first, right? So I'll go with production, or we can go with test also. There is no issues with that. So what we have done is we uploaded our MVP file. We made changes to this MVP file as a developer. We released it, we committed the changes, then we released it. After releasing it, we activated it on one of the environment. Now, what we need to do is we need to we need to bind it with the data set. So what we will do is we'll go to release data tab, we'll click on generate cache, we'll select the environment. For now, it's only the production we see here, invoice data, data set we need to select with which we are binding, and we'll say generate cache. What it will do is it will bind our application, the released application, with the data set. And with that, what we have done is we have made our application. We have deployed this application for end users. So as an end user, what URL we will share with the end user is only this part. We don't need to give this query string to the user. So what I'll do is I'll go here in incognito mode and I'll try to access it as an end user. Okay. It asks me for the credentials. I have super admin credential, but super admin is not end user. Okay. So what I have to do is, in that case, I have to create an end user. So for that, I'll come back to my releases tab. I'll click on these 3 lines. Open end user administration. I need to select the environment where I want to create this end user, and I'll launch it as an admin. So here I'll see the admin page to create the user. I will click on new user. I can maybe name it as end users. To specify an email ID and any name. Okay, click new user. What it does, it generates a password by itself. Make a note of this. In case you you missed it, we have an option here as a super admin. We can click on this change. We can change the password by ourselves. But I'm not doing this for now. Let's go to next step. What I'll do is I'll come to this end user page. I'll log in. First, it's asking me to change the password. Okay, I'll do that. And we can change this icon also. Okay, these things we may cover in our next session. Okay, once we click open, it starts getting launched for the end user. So this is an end user. Who is end user for process mining is the analyst. We'll talk about those roles maybe. So this is what end user will see. Okay, that's how we, as a developer, I developed the application, uploaded, released, bind it with the data, and release it for the end user. Now let's talk about these user personas. We have 3 personas here in process mining. First one is super admin user. If you see this one, we are logged in as a super admin. So super admin is someone who is going to manage this the platform itself. Like this one, if we need to create a workspace, the super admin can do that. Need to make any settings, maybe add another repository or enable the mailing settings and all those things. So super admin is someone who is going to manage the process mining platform. The second persona is developer. We have already seen what a developer do. He logs into this application, can make any changes, customize the existing dashboards, create new dashboards and everything. That's what a developer do here, and release that app for the end user. Then comes the end user. End user is someone who is the analyst, who has given you the data and who really wants to see where we can make the improvements in the system, or there is any chances of any automations and everything. That's where end user comes into picture. So I'll take a pause here. If you have any questions about these personas, then we'll see how what end users see on process mining.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes, Rashid.
So you are talking about the data, right? Like data upload, the data is being uploaded at the first step itself to analyze, to create these dashboards and all the stuff. So who will create the data and what is this data is all about?
Okay, that's a good question, Rashid. So the data is there are 2 ways to upload to fetch this data. One is we can directly connect with the systems like SAP, Oracle, or Salesforce using the connectors. In that case, we will deploy these connectors. These connectors will connect to, let's say, your SAP system, and will pull the data from SAP. That is one option. Second option is uploading the data. So in case, let's say, again, I'll take an example of SAP. From the SAP application, you will generate this data in the CSV or Excel file, and you will give this data to process. So you, in the sense, you can be a SME of the application or can be the owner of SAP, and you will give this data to the process mining developer or super admin user, and you will say, analyze this data for me. Or generate the app and I will do the analysis for me. Just give me the app which shows me the actual process, which shows me these dashboards on my data.
Okay, so means I would say like this process mining is targeted for the business users and citizen developers. Am I right?
Not exactly. Citizen developers are maybe is a different concept where a citizen developer can be anyone who is uh, who doesn't know much of the coding. If we
Okay.
talk only about citizen developers, so anyone, let's say, I don't know much about coding, but I do so many things repetitive every day. Maybe I'm logging to one website every day. Then there are multiple steps I'm performing. I'm downloading some report from there, so I can generate create my own automation. That is super admin. But here it can be process owner also, like your project manager, or let's say your team lead, or I'm not sure how about your hierarchy, but someone who is sitting on top of your team, and he says that, okay, when we receive the invoice, it goes through so many processes. I want to see all those steps what it goes through. So that person will maybe reach out to different departments and will say, okay, share this data with this automation COE team, and this team will upload this data in process mining.
And is there any condition or constraint on a data format or data means this is how the data should be like this when you before you upload into a process mining? Is there anything like that?
There are few conditions, Rashid. Like few of the fields are really mandatory. Let me show you. Give me 1 minute. My headphones battery seems to be down.
Okay.
Just
Because
allow
I
me.
see like the entire process mining, it's completely depend on the data what we upload, because that data is important for end user or developer, whoever is maybe, but the data is must. But I'm just looking for um, how we can get this meaningful data from any SMS.
Give me a
That is
minute,
right,
please.
Rashid. Yeah. So Rashid, you rightly mentioned everything is data driven here for decision making, but the format of data, I think Mahesh will show an example, like what are the basic field it expects and all, but it requires some connection either in form of direct SQL connection strings with the query specified or in a file upload format. So
Okay.
for the example that we are looking here, he will show an example of like what are the mandatory fields.
Yeah. Thank you. So that was my last question. I'll close it so that I'll leave it to other people to ask. Sorry.
No worries, Rashid.
No worries, Rashid. Okay, so as a developer, this is what we see, and we see this is a mandatory field in the cases table, that is case ID. That is the only mandatory field. If we go to events table, we see mandatory fields are activity, case ID, event end. Okay, now as I was saying earlier in this session, that this is not mandatory that when you upload a Excel file, for an example, that that Excel also has the same column name. It's not mandatory. But what we need to do in that case is we have to go to this one and we have to change this. We have to change the properties here. This one. So what we have to do is we have to do this mapping, name in the data source. That means what is the name of the column in our Excel file. That's what we have specified. Automatically detects the column names from the file, and that's what we have to select from here. In case, let's say we don't have name as case ID, we maybe have ticket number. So we will see here ticket number and we need to select that. That is one. Second most important thing is we need to select the attribute type. So this is normal text. I'll go to another one to show you that. Let's say event end. So data source name is again event end, and I need to select the attribute type, that is date and time. And how does that look like in my file? That also I have to specify. If it is not text or integer or something, I have to specify the format. That in my Excel file, the data is in format of YYY, M, and D. Okay, and once we specify all those things, it maps the column with these fields, checks the format and it starts uploading the data. Let's say if I change this one, what it will do is error it shows because the data format is not matching. Okay, and hopefully I'll find it back. It was y and G. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so that's what it does. Yeah, Rashid, you have, is that clear or?
Yeah, Mahesh, thank you.
Yeah, so you need to have case ID, but not mandatory to be named as case ID. You need to have a unique ID if you are dealing with this case and events data, and you are using this template one. So in that case, case ID is mandatory, and for each case ID, there will be some events generated. So we need to have that type of data, and these three fields are these fields are mandatory. Okay, and then the optional fields we can have anything.
Hey, hi, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Sorry, Shubham. No, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So basically, can we actually, instead of having a CSV or an Excel file, can we actually connect this whole thing to a database or maybe as a server on the backend? So basically, it's not an end user who actually uploads this manually, means it gets automatically updated. And if I release it, it's visible to the end user as well.
Yeah, Shubham. So we can connect directly with the databases. And as database connection is the one. The second thing is we can also connect with applications like SAP, Oracle, Salesforce. We can so for that there is another component comes into picture, that is connector. This connector will connect. It's we can say is bridge between your database or your application and process mining. It takes data from there and uploads, transforms it as per input required by the accelerator, and then gives it to process mining.
Okay. Okay. So basically, it actually helps in. So do we actually need a person who actually monitors this and publish it to the end user, or can we actually create a rule that it automatically gets reflected as per the data getting appended inside the database?
The connector will take care of pulling the data from the system. So once we need to we have to configure it once. Once we do that, it will keep on pulling the data from the system.
And automatically, it would be represented to the end user.
To represent to the end user, this data will get uploaded to this page, and then we need to generate this cache, but we can automate this as well. We can configure it like how we want to do it every 15 minutes or something like that, so that can be done.
Okay.
So this data will keep on refreshing, yeah, automatically.
Okay. Sure. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Okay. Hello, this is Abhishek again. I have slightly different question. What was the traditional method of doing this before using process mining?
Manually. So what we usually do traditionally is we take data from, maybe we understand, okay, what department A is doing, then we see what department B is doing. We may use different techniques. We may use some visual diagrams or something, and we then try to draw it. And in the end, we may end up with maybe a simple process graph, or definitely we miss some of the steps.
Okay.
Yeah, Mahesh, one question. So whenever we do for the developer instance, right, persona, we're talking about developer persona. So what are the best practices? Suppose events are there, cases. So what are the best practices we need to follow with respect to that particular project?
Oh, so first best practice as a developer, you need to make sure that you have data for your mandatory fields. One. Second, you need to make sure the field which is maybe not mandatory in process mining, but really important for your business users or your business. Okay, you need to upload those fields. You need to make use of those fields. Then, if there are fields which are custom fields, not in process mining, this template, those will get added automatically here, but you might need to do some calculations, some regex you need to apply on that. You do that, and then you create dashboards as per the requirements. These are really important.
In terms of any security aspect, we have to take care.
Nothing as a developer, because the data which end user will see, that will be just read only, and it's access based control. So it will be accessible only to the users who have really access to the application. So as a developer, you are not making the code changes. So security has been taken care there. If you, let's say you are using template 1, right? So the code of this application is already handling the security part. As a developer, you are just customizing the dashboards as per your business requirements. So there is nothing from the security perspective you need to take care as a developer.
Sure, man. Thank you.
Yep, welcome.
And just
Hello,
I'll add
so
one
basically,
point.
okay, go on.
Sorry. So to see this point, right? Like one more best practice that you can follow is like usually what will happen is the business users will have a particular idea in mind, saying this is how they want to visualize the data. So this template one out of the box dashboard is kind of giving you a head start with a basic layout. But then if your business wants to view the data in a different kind of a chart or a different kind of a layout, then that should be kept in mind, and kind of developers should modify iteratively modify the layouts, panels, data visualizations, work in tandem with the end users or the business objectives, and then kind of publish it to the end users so that they can view it as per the business analyst's requirement, because it's eventually going to be a BA who is going to analyze, or some analyst who's going to view that data, right? So it should kind of match that needs. But template one definitely gives you this head start that um, you don't have to build it from scratch. You can just work on top of it.
So, Shreyas, one question my side. So, how you import a template, right? Is there a way to create a template, our own template? Is there any possibility?
Yes,
For,
Siddhesh, you can create your own template, and the steps are available on the website, and also you can refer to Academy trainings for that.
Okay. So, is there a required for any programming language? What program is a C# or VB? Which programs?
So you can develop that in any of those programs, but the more details you can refer there, that what steps exactly or templates you need to follow.
Okay.
Okay. And about the language, I can check it again if there are some exclusions, and we'll get back to you. Sis, you have any idea about that?
Not really. Actually, it's a bit heavy topic. We'll kind of go in depth in that in the upcoming sessions, but I will have to kind of check like what are the different customizations that are possible on the specific custom templates and how that can be built. But definitely, if you go through the Academy link on the usage part, there are far many things that you will find like than what we can cover in this particular session. We highly encourage you to go through those.
Hey, hi,
Thank
Shreyas, Mahesh. I have one question here. So when you people showcase this process mining system architecture, you mentioned that Tracy, right? So on this whole application, on in which part that feature is going to come up?
Hey, that's interesting question, Ismail. And thanks for keeping that in mind. So, okay, so what we were talking about is about how end user will see this. So end user is a business analyst mainly. What they will say is that this is the data uploaded, and from the data we see some dashboards. We see that our invoice process goes through 357 variants, and average throughput time is this one. This is the total value we have already spent till date on all the invoices, and these are the number of cases we have uploaded. That is on overview. If we come to analysis part, we see here different dashboards. Again, we see like how many small invoices, medium level of invoices, different types of invoices. Then this is the process graph. This is what is designed by Tracy, Ismail. So Tracy designed this one, and this one shows. So if you remember, the happy path for invoice process was like these 5 steps, but process mining shows okay, there are many more steps in between. Okay, it also shows that how many invoices went through this path. That means once an invoice is received, 2,401 invoices went for the pay employee reimbursement step. Okay, and likewise it shows that what different steps and the volume of invoices went through those steps and paths. Okay, this is what we see in analysis. Then if we go, so end to end is for the cases, like this is the cases data. Now if we want to see the events data, like for one case there can be multiple events. Once a case is uploaded, then there can be multiple events across that. Okay, so here it shows the data related to events. Okay, hold on. Okay, it shows that average number of events per case is 5.5, then average number of throughput time and all those things. And in process graph, we see these details. Okay, and we have a feature here. What we do is if I click on this one, play button, and if I play this, it shows the invoices or the events happening every day. If you're at the bottom, you see it shows the days also. Okay.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's what is the interesting point, and that's what Tracy does. So here we can see the number of days. Like on day one, these many processes got processed, or these many events happened, or there are some events which actually took 131 days also. So it shows all those things. Okay.
Yep.
The next tab here is compare. That's what I was talking about in earlier part of the session, that you can compare two graphs, like what your graph was before the automation and after the automation. Then you can do the comparison here. Okay, maybe it was how many invoices were going from this path, and now how many are going through this path, and how much time it used to take earlier, how much time it is taking now. Okay, so that's what we can see in compare. Another tab is root cause analysis. This one shows maybe we can put some filters and see that which step is taking time, and then we can drill down more and we can find more details, like how many small invoices and all those things. If we go to efficiency tab, it talks more about time. So up till now we show the demo, the volume in analysis. In efficiency, we see the time. From receive invoice till check receive invoice, it average takes just 1 second. But it takes 2 days, 2 hours, and more than that for when we when it goes from check received state to final check of invoices state. Okay, we can remove this filter maybe from here. So this one actually shows, okay, these are the steps where you are consuming so much time, and that's where this is the idea. This is where it gives the idea of where our process is becoming inefficient, which are the steps where we really need to look at. And maybe let's say there's one team which is performing this task. We can maybe put this task mining for this team to check why they are taking one day 19 hours to send the invoice to the next step, and then we can find out automation candidates here. Okay, and from analysis page, what we can find out is it shows the number of invoices going through any of these steps, right? So we can find out that where which is the path most traversed, if that can be automated. So we can directly find the automation candidates. We can, in some cases, we need to put task mining in place for a department to find out what can be automated at their end. Okay, here also we have this play button, and it shows this data again in the days. Okay, like this one is very slow.
You can change the animation speed, like to run slowly, and you can find the days where the volume is at peak or running slower and stuff like that. Yeah.
So here is the option if you want to change that speed. So this shows that you want to run it in how many seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, or maybe 20 minutes or something. Okay, we have other tabs also, but this is within the scope of this session. If you have any queries or concerns, please go ahead.
I think Abhishek had a question.
I had one. You show that you're for this example you integrated to an Excel sheet. How does it? How many different types of systems can you integrate to directly through the databases or something like it? How does that work?
So we can integrate with different types of databases, which are mostly accepting this ODBC connection. We can upload text files, we can upload Excel files.
Okay, so it's not defined by what type of application. You can just, when you integrate to applications, you are viewing it as databases. Is that correct? So
That's
you're
correct,
not you're not viewing it as
no. There are connectors available for applications like SAP, Oracle, Salesforce.
Yeah. Okay.
So we
How
can
many
connect
different
directly with
systems can you connect to?
The exact number I have to see. I don't have it on top of my head, but we can check and get back to you for that.
All right.
Hi Mahesh. Hi Mahesh.
Hello.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes, please.
After creating total that work graph, is there any process to create XAML file like import? Total work graph to import.
Note, Srinivas, that feature is not there as of now, and I have to see if that is there in the in our product board in our pipeline. But we'll see if that is really feasible, because process mining is like it's dealing with the backend data of many systems, and exactly there can be more things if we convert it to the automation. Yeah. So XAML part, I'm not sure if that is even possible. XML you are talking about, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It will be available on the task mining, not on the process mining.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, even task capture has that feature, because there we are capturing event level data, basically what you want to build
I
within the
know.
automation.
I know.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm using other process mining tool like Soroco, Scout. Like the after work graph completion, there is an option is there. That's why I'm asking. Okay.
Sure.
Thanks for sharing that feedback, Srinivas. We'll definitely discuss this with our product team.
Yeah. Thank you.
There was one more question from Abhishek.
Yeah, hello. So I want to know, so what I have learned today is basically this is not related just for automation purpose, because since we are coming from UiPath, we look at as if this is one way to find the automation. But what I see is this is to identify for re-engineering of business process. Am I right?
That's correct, Abhishek.
Yeah. So basically, we are
automation
also
is just one part. Yeah. So,
yeah. Right. Go on.
So as I explained in the introduction part, automation is just one part of process mining, but we can also identify the improvements in our system, which we may not do with the automation, but maybe we can remove some of the steps from the from our process. We can check if there is something we can improve internally in the team. So those things also we identify with process mining. It's not just for automation part.
Okay.
And just one point there, Abhishek, it's not a great idea to just take the process, understand the process and automate it, right? So as you said, the objective is to first re-engineer it, bring it from a as a state to a maybe to be state where you want it to be. And then once you have defined those steps, then you map it and like feed it to the developers to automate the optimized process so that the bottlenecks are removed and then the automation gives you more benefit.
Got it. And when you use the connectors to connect the data, so is it does it update in real time?
Sorry, Abhishek. Can you come up again, please?
Yeah. So these data which we have, that is the total amount we spent and everything. So will it update in real time, or do we always have to do some certain refresh or something?
That refresh, if let's say we are uploading data manually using Excel files or anything like that, we have to do it, Abhishek. But if we are using these accelerators or connectors, in that case, that will happen on regular basis, on intervals.
Okay. So yeah, coming to the accelerators part again. So Tracy is for the data visualization, and accelerators is just for a medium to update the data from one part to process mining. Am I right?
Accelerators, Tracy is mainly for this chart. If you still see my screen, mainly for this process graph to design this one. While accelerators, what they give is template one, or we talk about anyone, they give us this template of different dashboards. And when we upload the data, they transform this data in these formats and show us data in these dashboards.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
We have one,
one more question actually. Yeah. Sorry. I just got one more
No,
question.
it's good, please.
Okay. So suppose we are using process mining and we are able to identify the automation key points. Okay. We have changed our process diagram slightly, process graph, and now we have the KPIs to calculate the automation advantages. So is it now we are also getting this simulation type something, the cases, correct? So that will be done. Can we simulate the cases after re-engineering the process?
I'm not sure if I 100% understood your question, but what you are saying is, can we compare the results after automation and before automation? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. But it's like we added certain things in between the process which were not previously there, and we want to test it out before implementing that process in real time.
We want to test it out before implementing. That is not possible, Abhishek, because we need events data. So that can be done if we have this events data maybe in your test environment or anywhere, but we need that data which we can feed to process mining.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing to that, Abhishek, could be like you can run a test with a re-engineered process, like give it to a group of users who do a new process that generates a transaction repository that can be fed to the process mining. But more the data, more granular the data, more accurate your results are. And then you can compare it like with that dummy data set that you have loaded, look at the graphs to compare. And then if you see benefit in it, then you can maybe automate it or move it to a larger audience.
Got it.
Okay,
so
we are almost at the top of the hour, everyone. And as promised, let's go to the quiz so that you can get your quiz.
I hope everyone is okay to continue for like a few more minutes. I will not take long. I'll just present my screen and I'll bring up the quiz for you.
So
I hope everyone has joined the Slido thing. If not, please do that. And I've activated the quiz. And I can see the participants joining in. Let's give everyone like few seconds to join in. Mahesh, let me know once we have enough participants and I'll start the quiz.
Okay.
Is there any scan is available? I think we can do it.
Shesh, can we share that link again, please?
Yeah.
Let's
scan it from here.
See into it.
Sharing the QR code on screen.
Okay, we see 17 participants have joined, 18, but we have more in the session.
Anyone who is not able to make it, please scan the QR code.
Maybe 30 more seconds and we can start after that.
Sure.
Okay, looks like the number is fixed. Okay, can we start? I think says let's go ahead.
Oops. Let me try to present. Okay, the first question coming your way. Which of the following UiPath products is not part of the discover phase? I hope people are able to answer it. Okay, time's up and majority have answered UiPath Assistant, which is the correct answer. 14% got it wrong.
Right.
Task capture is part of the discover product. So let's see who answered fastest. Okay, Nagaraj is and Vivek almost got it in the same time. Good one. Next question coming to your screen. Which UiPath product is used to generate process graph out of a backend data? So 3 discovery products listed there and none of the above is the option. Anyone who's still not able to join in can scan the QR code on the left side. All right, so 95% are answering process mining and the correct answer is process mining. We just saw an example like of how to generate process graph using the backend data. Okay, Nagaraj is still leading. Good going, Nagaraj. Next question. What are the deployment options that are currently available for UiPath process mining that we saw today, the latest build version 21.10.2? %71% have answered option A. So few have answered option B and C, tied on option B and C with 14%. Let's see what the answer was. Correct answer is you can deploy it as on-prem or SaaS. Soon it will be coming to automation suite, then it will be option B will become the correct answer. But right now the capability is available only on on-prem and cloud version. Okay, Nagaraj still leading. Moving to the next question. Which process mining component is being used for generating the process graphs? Discussed it multiple times today. Let's see how many get it right. Okay, it's a bit of a split between option B and C, discovery accelerators and Tracy. So the correct answer is Tracy. Tracy is the component that is used for like generating the graphs, the beautification and visualization aspect of the data. And discovery accelerators is something which you use to upload the templates, like we saw the MVP files and those extension files.
This question was about process graphs, not about the dashboards, other dashboards. It was specific to process graphs. And
yeah,
we talked about this component in detail. Good. Next.
Okay, so Nagraj and Nitin both have got 4 right, but fastest is Nagraj, still leading the board. Good going. Last question coming your way. Which of the following is not a process mining role? It's not a process mining role. Got 20 seconds to answer, 10 more to go. Okay, majority have answered the last option, contributor, but few have answered developer, read-only, and end user. Correct answer is contributor. And the winner of the quiz is Nagraj. Congrats, Nagraj. Great job answering everything correctly and fastest. Please, you can ping me one-on-one, me or Mahesh. You can just ping us your email ID so that we can share the goodie coupon with you. All right. With that, we can conclude our today's session. Mahesh, is there anything you wanted to add?
Just thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you and have a great day ahead. Stay tuned for our next series.
Thank you, Mahesh.
Thank you. Thanks, Shreyas. Thanks.
Thank you all. This was a great.
We got Nagraj's email ID. Let's copy this.